everybody. It is so good to be here with you all today. It is fall kickoff day, and I am so excited about what we have planned for this year. It's all going to look different, as you probably would have guessed, but that's okay. Different can be great. So I did want to start, though, by making an appeal to whoever asked God for a longer spring break. I understand why you did that, but if you could please think through any future prayers that you make. Just want to, keep in mind everybody and all of our needs because, we're here now. So I would appreciate that. Thank you. So I'm going to share with y'all a bunch of information today, and there's a lot to tell you, so hang on for the ride. So first thing we're going to do, of course, is we're going to open this up in prayer. So will y'all bow your heads and pray with me, please? Lord God, thank you so much for fall kickoff. Thank you for new beginnings. Thank you for new opportunities, for new creative ways of finding to do things. God, your church is still here. Your spirit is still here with us. Ministry has never stopped. So God, as we move into this new time, help us to find the different ways that you are still moving. Help us to be faithful in all that we do, and help us to truly embody the body of Christ with each other, even as we stay apart. God, we love you, and we ask all of these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. So first things first, we're going to do some introductions. My name is Beth, and I'm the Director of Youth Ministry at Manchester United Methodist. My administrative assistant is Felicia Berenger. If you see some emails coming through that look like they're from church, from Manchester Youth, and they're not from me, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be from Felicia. So she is wonderful and amazing, and you will get emails and phone calls and just random communications from her at times, and so that's who she is. Also on staff again this year is Patrick Clover. He is the youth assistant this year, so Patrick's going to be helping me out just with basically whatever I tell him to do. That's basically Patrick's job. So it's kind of great to just have somebody I can say, hey Patrick, go do that, and he does that. So happy to have this awesome staff with me this year. All right, so this is our mission statement. Manchester Youth is a loving, fun, and inclusive community that equips students to make faith and life decisions by helping them grow in their understanding and relationship with God and with others. So we take that mission statement very seriously. Every single thing that we do has to come back to that mission statement. And so we're just very targeted and very intentional about how we do ministry here in the youth program. So, all right, next up, we have our very first code word. So during this presentation today, I'm going to be giving you all 3 code words. And then afterwards, you can go to a Google form. You'll find the link in the newsletter or on Facebook, and you can enter those 3 words in that Google form. And you have to do that by 6:30 this evening. If you do that, when I go live on Facebook tonight at 7, you will be eligible to win $100 worth of gift cards to local restaurants. So it's definitely worth it. If you stick it out for this whole presentation, make sure you get those words in there and go for that gift card. And good luck to you. So our very first word today is kumquat. I have no idea if I'm even saying that right. Kumquat? Something like that? There you go. That's your first word. Does not have to be spelled correctly, but you can because Google. All right. So here's what we're going to be doing today in this presentation. I'm going to be talking about what the heck COVID has done to our program. We're going to be talking about communication. So basically, how can you keep knowing what we're doing here? And then I'm going to talk about what we're doing after the video. So stay tuned. All right, so first things first, what the heck is going on with COVID-19? Nobody really knows, I feel like, but what we're doing here at church, the church has a pandemic plan for mission and ministry, and that plan outlines 4 distinct phases that the church will operate in. Phase 1 is the most strict, and Phase 4 is the least strict. And so right now we are in Phase 2, and it was just announced that we are going to for sure be in Phase 2 until November. So what does that mean for us? So I actually put together a phase plan that is on our website and linked to it in the e-news as well. Anybody can go and read it, and it outlines what our program looks like in each of the 4 phases. So I'm not going to go through and tell you all of that information because, well, I don't want to bore you all. So I am going to talk a little bit though about Phase 2 since that's the phase that we are in. So basically, Phase 2 means we cannot be programming inside the building, so we have to be programming outside on the parking lot, and we have to be distanced. So that's the main thrust of this phase, but I'm going to talk more in depth as we go about what that actually looks like. And if we change phases throughout the year, keep your eye on all the communication venues so you can get more details about how that affects us. All right, here we go. Next thing, my favorite thing to talk about, communication. We communicate so much. So we are constantly putting stuff out there for you to see and for you to read. The biggest thing that we do is we put out a weekly newsletter. If you want the most up-to-date and current information, this is where you go, okay? So every Thursday or Friday comes from Felicia. The Manchester Youth News will hit your inbox. If you're not seeing it, go check your junk mail folder and then go and whitelist it so that it goes to your inbox. But this is going to have details for you about what to expect. This is going to have registration links. This is going to answer a lot of your questions that you have. All of that is going to be in the newsletter. So like if I post like a reminder on Facebook and you're like, I wonder what that is. First thing you can do is you can go to the newsletter and check it out. So that's our newsletter. Also in my newsletter is a weekly blog from me. So if you want to hear what's going on up here, you can do that. All right, next thing, so we have a Facebook group just for Manchester Youth. I post in that once or twice a day. That's going to be more for reminders. That's going to be more celebrating what we're doing, showing pictures of kids, posting goofy videos, all that stuff. So that's a great place. If you have not joined that group, I encourage you to do so. We also have an Instagram. Instagram is a little bit more limiting in what I can post, and that is a venue that I use to direct more to youth. So I know more families, more parents are on Facebook, and more youth are on Instagram, although of course there's some crossover. So the youth Instagram is Manchester UMC Youth, okay? No dots, no underlines, whatever. Just Manchester UMC Youth if you want to follow us. Next thing, so all of our small groups, including the leadership groups, use what's called GroupMe, and that's an app that you can download on your phone. It's just a really basic text messaging app, and so that's a way that the small groups can talk to each other throughout the week. I'll also post on the GroupMe group sometimes just reminders about things that are coming up. So that's a great thing to get on as well. The website is another great place to go. That one, it's not as fast as the newsletter getting updated. We might be, if we change a detail, the website might be 1 or 2 weeks behind, whereas the newsletter is going to be up to date and current. And then finally, we have the Google Calendar. So I need to tell you all about this Google Calendar. Some of y'all who have even been around for a while don't realize just how amazing this Google Calendar is. So we have had this year's dates and times on the calendar since April, okay? Like we had summer 2021 events on the calendar in April. I kid you not. So if you ever want to look ahead and see what we're doing, you can do that. And even on the Google Calendar this year, we have the topics for every night on there. If you click on the thing, we have, some of them have the locations on there. There is just so much information that you can find. So if you have Google, which I hope everybody has Google at this point, but anyways, if you have it, you can subscribe to our Google Calendar, and what that does is it automatically puts all of our youth events onto your calendar. So that might not be your cup of tea. It's definitely mine. I did that before I became director, and it was so very helpful to just have that information there. So Google Calendar, it's your friend. Let it be yours. All right, theme. So this year's theme is called Growing Deeper. So because we are in this time, this season of weirdness, as Pastor Andy would call it, we have less activities. We are spending less time rushing around and getting places. And I know you all miss a lot of those things that used to rush around too. I certainly miss a lot of those things. But I definitely don't mind the slowed down pace. It's a little bit nicer to have more time to get things done. And so we're going to capitalize on that this year. We are going to really spend some time growing more as a Christian family. We're growing more in relationship with each other and growing closer in our relationship with God. You might say, well, Beth, shouldn't we be doing this every year? Yes, in theory, but we're not very good at it usually. We're too busy rushing off to softball practice, to piano lessons, to the grocery store, and we just have a lot less of that this year. And so I believe that this is truly a wonderful opportunity to strengthen all of those relationships. So I'm really excited about what this is going to lead to this year. All right, so let's talk about youth group this year. So the first thing to mention is there is a time change from last year. This shouldn't be surprising to those of you who were here in the spring when we changed the time to later in the day, because families were actually out doing stuff together at the time youth group usually happens. So we listened, we changed, and we accommodated around that. So we are going to be meeting from 6:30 to 8 o'clock this year. Now, the reason for that is that with it being later, that gets us out of the direct sunlight, which makes it, of course, more bearable. It'll be a little bit cooler for these September month especially. And that hour and a half time frame is actually going to give us the time that we need to get through everything. We'll be doing things differently, of course, since we are in the parking lot. So we can actually do more stuff as a group than we could on Zoom. So we need more time to do that. So 6:30 to 8, hopefully that gives you all time to have dinner, get to church, and get home before you need to start getting ready for bed or doing last minute homework. You might be thinking, well, what about daylight savings time? It might be too dark to meet at that late of a time. You are correct. If we are still in phase 2, when that starts getting dark, or if it starts getting too cold, we will move the time up, and we will move to 4 to 5:30 will be our time. Okay, 4 o'clock to 5:30, if and when the weather or the light starts changing and requires that. All right. So I do recognize that changing the time mid-year is not ideal. If we were in any other circumstances other than this pandemic, I wouldn't dream of doing that. But I truly believe that we need to make non-Zoom options our first priority, because our kids are doing so much of that with their online schooling, and so we need to be face-to-face, and we've just got to move things around in order to make the face-to-face happen no matter what. All right, so let's keep talking about youth group. This is how we're going to continue to keep things really, really safe. So the first thing is we have 5 different small groups this year, and those 5 groups are going to actually meet in 5 different parking lots around the church. So what that does is that just limits exposure from one group to the other. Within that, myself and the floater will be split, and so I'll cover 3 groups, our floater will cover 2 groups, and so again, that's limiting exposure. So So when you arrive to church, what you want to do is you want to drive straight to your group's location. I'll get more information to you later about what group is meeting where, but you'll want to go straight there. So like, say you have 2 kids, don't drop them both off at the same place and have the other kid walk clear across the parking lot. One, that's not cool. I mean, come on. Let's be nice to our youth. But no, you want to drop off one youth and then drop off your other youth, and you want to be pretty close to them. When youth are walking from their car to their small groups, they are expected to be social distancing. So if 2 people arrive at the same time, they can't go up and give each other hugs. As much as I really wish I could do that. All right. Next thing is we do still have our church's bathroom policy in place. And y'all, let me just tell you, you want to use the bathroom before you get there, okay? It's there, it'll be open and ready for any emergency bathroom pit stops that need to happen, but really, if you can help it, use the bathroom before you come to youth group, and maybe just don't drink a whole lot of water while you're there. So what basically that is that if they need to go inside the building, they will have to fill out either a paper form or an online form answering questions about their symptoms. They will have to sanitize their hands as soon as they get inside the door. They will have to be wearing a mask when they go inside. Quick note about that, kids are encouraged to bring their own masks. However, we will have disposable masks available for anybody that needs to go and use the bathroom and forgot their mask that day. So you can go, and then after you have to use the bathroom, that's one of the single stalls on that first floor. So you'll go in the door, the side door that faces the north parking lot, and then there are 3 single stall restrooms there. You need to use one of those, and there are cleaning instructions for you to follow after you use the restroom, so you have to do that. And then you are free to come back outside. Okay, so here's the thing, having some bowel issues that day, every single time you go back into the church, you're going to have to repeat that process. You don't have to fill out a new form, but you do have to do everything else. So, and again, that's truly to keep everybody safe that's in that building, and just, yeah. So again, while we are outside, masks will not be required. I understand that might make some of you uncomfortable, and that's totally okay. Kids, of course, if they want to wear a mask, they are welcome to do that. We're just not going to give us like, get out, you mask-wearing self. Like, no, if you would like to wear a mask, you are welcome to. But we're not requiring it because we will be outside and we will be so spread out. The one downside, if you do choose to wear a mask, is it's really hard to hear you. We're that far apart from each other. It's really hard to hear if you are wearing a mask. So not required, but if you want to, you absolutely can. All right, moving right along. So what can you expect when you get to youth group this year? After you arrive at 6:30, we'll have a whole hour-and-a-half small group together. During that time, you'll do some icebreakers. You will share joys and concerns with each other and pray together. You will hear a message from me or from a pastor. You will play some games, and then at 8 o'clock, you will be dismissed. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the message. So this year, what's going to happen is you're going to hear that message during small group. And so what I need everybody to do is to bring to youth group with them some kind of smart device. So what that's going to look like for most of our youth is a smartphone. So just have them bring their smartphone. No, we're not going to be playing on our cell phones the whole time. You don't have to worry about that. But we are going to get them out, and it does need to access the internet, and it needs to access data. So not Wi-Fi. The church's Wi-Fi will not reach out to the parking lot that far. So if your youth does not have a cell phone yet, what they can do, if they could borrow a family device of some sort that connects, that would work too. But what you can also do is you can bring any kind of tablet, or you can bring your school-issued computer. What's going to happen is for anybody that needs to do that, I'm going to provide a flash drive, and that flash drive will have the message for that day on there, and so they can just plug it in and listen to it that way. If your family truly does not have a laptop or a tablet or anything that they can watch on, no problem. I've got a few to spare. I'm happy to loan you one. Along with that, you will need headphones. So go ahead and bring your headphones with you so that we can all listen to at the same time. No, we cannot just hold up a laptop and turn up the volume really loud because I promise you, we are distanced. So it is actually too far away to really see and hear the message if we do it that way. So that's why we're doing this all individually. If your child shows up and completely forgot headphones, guess what? I have headphones that they can borrow for that day. I'll take them back. They will be sanitized before needing to be used next week. So that's how we're going to watch the message this year. Pretty exciting, huh? So real quick, one last thing about youth group this year. Any games, icebreakers, any activities that we do, there will be no sharing of supplies, and that includes chairs. So nobody will be touching anything that somebody else has touched. In the rare occasion that comes up that we need to move a supply from one person to another, every group will have some disinfectant spray, and so they can disinfect it and wait the 2 or 3 minutes before passing it on to the next person. I know that may sound like we're going overboard and over the top, but I honestly believe that this is the time. This is the time to be super safe and to just be respectful of everybody's comfort and help make everybody feel welcome and not at all at risk. All right, so small groups. So our small groups, you should have already seen the rosters by now. If you haven't, please go and check out those rosters. So I am not perfect. So if your youth is missing from a roster, please let me know so I can get them on there. If your youth wants to change groups, also please let me know. Last year I had, I think, 3 youth approach me and say, hey Beth, can you put me on a different roster? And I said, sure. And that's what I did. So all you have to do is let me know. I'll be happy to move your group. So the big change from last year, of course, you'll notice, actually 2 big changes. One is we only have 1 6th grade group this year because this year's 6th grade isn't the monstrosity that was last year's 6th grade group. Love you, current 7th graders. Y'all are awesome. But yeah, much smaller groups, so we only have 1 6th grade group. And then we only have 2 high school groups instead of 4 high school groups, and those are both 9 through 12. So those are the 2 big changes. Next thing. So as some of you all may remember, we have a 3-year comprehensive curriculum that I am actually developing just for our youth group. I'm working with my husband Kurt, who is seminary trained, and also a couple of clergy at Manchester to put together a curriculum that is robust and meets our kids where they're at. And the goal, of course, for the curriculum is to develop a strong faith foundation that holds up to scrutiny when they get to college. One of the biggest issues we face just in general as youth ministers is that we spend all this time trying to teach kids the faith, and then they go to college and they get all of these questions. Well, have you thought about this, and what about this, and what about this? And their faith dissolves within a couple of months. And so we're just doing our kids a disservice if we don't try our best to counteract that. And I believe that with this curriculum, if our kids are showing up and engaging with it, they're going to have a faith that withstands even the toughest criticism when they move on. So this year we are starting year 3. I know last year we kind of let the curriculum go because we were all reeling from Corona tide. But this year we are going to start back with our plans, and we're just going to dive into the curriculum because I think we are in a place where we are ready to do that. All right, next thing. So I don't know if you know this, but we have some awesome small group leaders this year. They are, in fact, this year it's especially special because I gave them extra responsibilities, and they still showed up and still said, yes, absolutely, that's totally what I want to do. So they are committing not just 3 hours every Sunday to you, or for our confirmation leaders, not just 2 hours every Wednesday, but they are truly here, and they are here to support your youth and to love your youth, and they just want all of the good things and all the best things in the world. So love you all. I'm so thankful to have you. So those small group leaders are Anthony Larson, Julie Parsons, Jennifer McGillivary, Kenna Marcus, Carla Walker, Patrick Clover, Jaden Parsons, Joan Bender, Shaylee Parsons, Rachel Mustaine, and Kurt Bemler. Our confirmation leaders this year are Chuck Healy, Diane Mustaine, Paul Latham, Alan Smith, and Patrick Clover. And our leadership team co-adult is Susie Ball. So you all are wonderful. You deserve all the trophies in the world. If you're at home right now, please feel free to give them a round of applause. We are very blessed to have this team in place. All right, so this is going to be old news to most of you, so I'm just going to do this real quick. Social topics, we do those every year. They are part of our curriculum. And again, the point of social topics is to look at what's happening in our world around us and figure out what our faith has to say about that. Usually it goes the opposite direction, right? We're talking about a faith-based topic, scripture, theology, and then we're applying that to the real world. And so what social topics does is we start with the real world and say, well, where does our faith live in that? Really important because kids have more access to information now than ever. And so they are aware, they hear what's going on, they hear the controversial items, they're not immune to it. And so what this does is it allows us to have a say in that and say, no, even though this is stuff that's happening in your world, Jesus really does apply in this situation too. So when we get to that point, a letter will go out with more information, and also the topics scheduled for that day will be included in that, and those will be brought up over and over again. And they're on the Google Calendar too, if you wanted to go and check those out. The reason for that is because we want you to have the choice on whether or not you send your kid for that particular topic. If you would rather your kid not be exposed to that particular topic that day, that is totally fine, and you can opt out of youth group that day. We used to have an alternative, but what we learned is that everybody, literally every family that wanted to opt out did not want to do the alternative topic for lots of various reasons. So all we ask is that if you opt out of a topic, please come back. Please don't just opt out of church, opt out for that week, come back to us the next week. All right, moving right along. Hey, it's our next code word. So this word is cattywampus. Beth is a little cattywampus, given this really long presentation. Oh yeah, second code word. All right, moving right along. So leadership groups, those are happening this year. We need leadership more than ever right now. So those are going to meet every other Tuesday this year, either at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and those are going to be on Zoom. I know everybody hates Zoom, but because of the nature of the groups, they do just fine on Zoom. And of course, if you're in a leadership group, you should already be going to the other programming offered that's in person. So there are going to be actually really clear written down group expectations this year. And so those are going to be on the website if you're interested in reading those. But essentially what it boils down to is that this is a big commitment. It's a responsibility to be on this leadership team. You know, this isn't just, I don't know, when I was in high school, NHS was supposed to be this really big responsibility, and yeah, it wasn't. It was... I got to show up and say, I'm an NHS, and then put it on my college application. So these groups are not that. Like, if you show up to these leadership groups, you are expected to put in the time outside of group to really show up, to give it your full 100%. So anybody's welcome. Anybody in 6th through 12th grade, you can come, and if you want to be a part of that group, you can be a part of that group. Our group is so much better because of the contributions of the leaders that join these groups. Our group just simply would not be what it is without our student leaders. So it's the same groups as last year. We will have a marketing group, we will have an event planning group, and we will have a hospitality group. And more information about each of those groups, again, will be on the website. And we will have a Youth Advisory Council, or YAC, again. You do have to be on one of the other teams in order to be in that group. In years past, you would qualify for YAC if you were in the band, or in cantate, or on the tech team. But since those three groups aren't existing right now, we'll need you to be on one of those other ones. So really the big thing I'm asking from anybody who joins a leadership team this year is that you come with your creativity. Don't know if you've noticed this, but the church is still going, and the church is still going because the Holy Spirit is still moving. And when the Holy Spirit moves, creativity comes to life. And so there are going to be so many opportunities to do old things in new and creative ways. Just last week, there was a Bible parade for our kindergartners and our third graders, and I swear everybody that I talked to afterwards was like, we should do this every year. This is better than it's ever been. Like, that's the Holy Spirit, guys. Taking something that we're like, oh, we can't do this the old way. How are we going to make this work? And then making something even better out of that. Y'all, we can still do that, but I need you all to come in and be ready and excited to find new ways of doing things. All right, so next thing we have is middle school meetup. So this will be the second year for the program known as Middle School Meetup. It's going to be on Wednesdays again. The time is changing this year. It's going to take place from 6:15 to 7:30, and that will be in the parking lot. And again, more details about that will come out later. But the theme this year for Middle School Meetup is Middle School Survival Guide. All of you, literally everybody I'm talking to right now, either is in middle school, just out of middle school, or probably remembers middle school, is not very fun as a general rule. If you love it or loved it, that's great. Most people really struggle with it because there's a lot of unique challenge that come with middle school. And so we're going to be learning how to survive middle school using our faith. Our faith has a lot of wonderful things that can help us through difficult times, such as middle school. So I really hope that if you're in middle school, you'll consider joining us for that this year. One of the joys of Middle School Meetup is it is smaller. We are a more intimate group. It's not big. It's not as fancy, I guess, if you will. It's more relaxed, more casual. And so it's just a really great environment for any youth that might be more turned off by the larger group setting. So also for this year for Middle School Meetup, I am leading that. So I'm really excited to get to lead that and to get to know some of our middle schoolers even better this year. All right, moving on. So confirmation, the deadline is tomorrow. So if you are in 7th or 8th grade, you are eligible to be in confirmation this year. Please make sure you register before you go to bed tomorrow. It's all of this year's information about confirmation, what dates, what times, whatever. That's all on the website, and you can go and look that up. And guess where else it is? It's the Google Calendar. You got it right. So all of those dates are on there as well. So you can go and check it out and see if you're interested in joining us. If you have any questions about the program, please don't hesitate to contact me. And the program really focuses on teaching the fundamentals of the Christian faith. Now, I want to be really clear that you didn't hear me say the fundamentals of the Bible. Sometimes confirmation programs can just basically turn into a glorified Bible study, which is fine. Big fan of Bible study, youth minister here, like all about Bible study. But being a Christian is so much more than Bible study. It is Bible study, and it's worship, and it's service, and it's fellowship. And so our confirmation program encompasses all of these things so that the youth who go through it really have a complex understanding of what it really means to be a Christian, what they are committing to, what they're being asked to commit to at the end. So yeah, if you're in 7th or 8th grade, hope you'll consider joining us. So, porch visits. So this was honestly the best part of my summer. I loved getting to go around and just chat with youth. I've had some wonderful conversations, and the people I visited, I just feel like I know them so much better. And so we're going to keep those going. There aren't really too many sports games or recitals or anything, concerts for me to go to this year like I would usually do. And so we're going to be doing porch visits instead. I'm only going to be able to do that once a week for the fall, and I'm going to be doing those on Wednesday afternoons. So it'll work the same way. You can go and get on the Sign Up Genius and sign up for a spot that works for you. It is a 2-hour window that I want you to block off. No, I will most likely not be with you for 2 hours, but that gives me some wiggle room getting to and from your house. So, all right. Next thing, special events. So we have some pretty stellar special events that are traditions in our youth program, such as the middle school lock-in and the high school retreat and all of those good things. So this year, those events will look different. You guys probably already figured that out. But what we are going to be trying to do is capture the spirit of those events. So even if we can't go and do what we are used to doing, we're going to try and, no, we're going to try. We are going to do something that is going to be great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be meaningful. It's going to do hopefully those things that you got out of it last time. Just will look a little bit different. So if you see a special event on the calendar, go ahead and mark that on your calendar, okay? Don't just assume like, oh, that's going to be canceled. No, it's not going to be canceled. It will be reimagined. So go ahead and mark that off so that you have that time available. I don't have details yet for what each and every event is going to look like, just because everything is changing so rapidly. But as I figure out those details and I know what that's going to look like, I will communicate that out to you all in one of the millions of communication venues that we have. All right, this is not news for anybody who's returning, so I'm just going to cover this really quick. Scholarships. So anybody who wants to go to any event, we want you to go. Okay, we never want money to be a barrier. And so all you have to do is go on to register for the event. You'll get to the payment page. You can select one of 3 options. You can pay in full, you can pay half price, or you can request full scholarship. And that's all you have to do. Whatever you request, that's what happens. Most of the time, I don't even know who selected what for their payment option. So I just get the final roster. So it's really easy. You don't have to ask anybody. You don't have to fill out an application. Just say it. So I will say the events will be cheaper this year, more than likely. But there will still be a cost associated because, supplies and food and all that stuff, that costs money. So yeah, that will still be relevant. All right, next thing. So this is one of the biggest changes to the program this year that I'm so excited about. We're really focusing with our Growing Deeper theme on individual relationships between youth and then between adults and youth. So why are we doing that? What's the point of that? So real, authentic faith grows in the context of relationships, okay? So youth have tough questions and youth have tough life situations. I don't know if you remember what it's like to be a teenager, all you parents out there, but it's not easy. It's really difficult. And if youth can learn how to navigate those questions and those life situations with an adult who loves them and that they feel comfortable talking to, their faith is going to get stronger, massively stronger. And so we have to set the stage. We have to do the things that let the youth know, that let all of you youth out there know that we are here and that we are available and we want to be a part of your life more than just on Sundays. So it's really, really hard to set that stage if you're only talking to youth in the midst of a small group every week on a Sunday. You just don't have that time or that context available. And also, most of our youth don't come every single week, so we even have that barrier. Sometimes it's 1 hour a week once every 3 weeks on a Sunday. So focusing on those one-on-one relationships is going to really, I think, help bridge that gap and really help our youth grow deeper in a meaningful way. And overall, it just makes our program more Christ-like. So this is good theology, right? God doesn't wait for us to come to him. God comes to us, right? God meets us wherever we are at. God listens. God is there for us no matter what, right? That's the God that we serve. That's the God that we love and worship. And so when we embody that, we're doing it right. So I'm excited. All right, so you might be wondering, how can you do that with Safe Gatherings? So Safe Gatherings, formerly known as Safe Sanctuary, was actually updated last year to allow for this. I'm not going to go too strict into details, but basically we still put a lot of safeguards in place to make sure that everybody, our youth and our adults, stay safe in these situations. So adults, of course, must be Safe Gatherings certified before they can do that. They have to write up what happened in those conversations and submit them to me. They have to meet in a public place if they meet in person. And most importantly, there has to be parent permission in place. If you go to the Manchester Youth Registration, one of the last questions on there is, does your youth have permission to speak privately with an adult? And so if you check yes, that gives us permission for the year. If you check no, no problem. You can still give us verbal or written permission later on for certain situations. So with all of those safeguards in place, I feel really, really confident that we can have these really important and meaningful conversations in a really safe way. All right, next thing. So we usually have some either youth-only events or youth-focused events that focus on mission, service, or social justice. This year we're not going to be doing that because of COVID, but let me tell you, our missions team and our social justice ministry have lots and lots of opportunities to get involved and be a light to the community. So if your youth is passionate about that, or if you are, as parents are passionate about that, or you as youth out there, I really encourage you to get involved. They all have Facebook pages. They have staff members you can ask. There's the information in the church newsletter. You can find out what's going on and you can get involved. And there's just about everything that they do, youth can also do. So if this is something that you feel strongly about, please get involved. And if you need help getting involved, I'm more than happy to help you with that. All right, so next thing, I think I already mentioned this earlier, but our program Cantate, our youth choir, is currently on hiatus for obvious reasons. Curtis Heinrich is still our director of that, and I know that he is excited to someday to get back directing that again. So if you're super excited to get involved in Cantate this year, hang tight. Someday it will come back, but it is currently on hiatus. The same thing is also the case for Youth Band and for Tech Team. Those two programs are also on hiatus. God's Gamers as well as on hiatus. However, a lot of our gamers also play Minecraft. So we've had a Minecraft group going on this summer. I am looking to do some reimagining of what Minecraft will look like this fall, because I think there's still a place for it. So just check your newsletters in the next couple of weeks with more details, and I will most likely be asking for your feedback. If you have a kid that plays Minecraft that might be interested in this particular group, I'm going to probably be asking for you to tell me what's going to work best for you. All right, next thing. So like I said, summer 2021, we already have dates available for our 3 summer trips, okay? So go and mark your calendars with those dates, because I know, I don't know about you all, but I am certainly daydreaming of summer next year, of the things I'll do and the places I'll go. I have no idea if we're going to actually get to go to any of those things, but if you start planning, and a lot of you I know start actually making plans a year out, put those dates on your calendar, plan around them, okay? We are going to go back to Appalachia Service Project since we missed going there this year. And of course, we're going to go back to Camp Joota for Spirit Camp again next year. Hopefully we are going to go back to LifeWise for the middle school mission trip, since we had such a wonderful experience there last year. All right, next slide. So this is boring parent stuff. I'll try and go quick for any of you youth out there. Boring parent stuff. So in the fall, we're going to have, instead of youth group one day, we're going to have parent leader meetings. So we started this last year, and they were amazing. The parents who went to these just could not stop talking about how wonderful it was to really get to know their small group leaders better, and talk shop about their families and what's going on, and that so that we can really just expand our youth village. Also, then in the spring, we're going to have an all-parent meeting. Hopefully that won't have to be virtual. We will see. And so that's an opportunity to come and just learn about something that is going to be relevant to raising teenagers right now. Also, it's an opportunity to get some really good details on the summer trips that we will have by that point. So that parent meeting is going to happen again this spring. And then finally, we have some awesome adult faith formation classes that are actually going on at the same time as youth group. So, and middle school meetup. So Disciple 1 is a really in-depth and wonderful, life-changing, faith-altering Bible study. So you can go to that. It's actually, so if youth group moves back to 4 o'clock, that's when Disciple 1 is. It's from 4 to 6. So I recognize starting in phase 2 doesn't do that, but again, that 4 to 6 time range is definitely a possibility. So that's a really great opportunity. And then it's on Wednesdays, I believe, from 6:30 to 8:30. So you can send your kids to middle school meetup, and you can join up with Disciple Bible Study as well. So. And if those 2 opportunities are not your cup of tea, we have tons of adult faith formation classes that are wonderful, that I would strongly encourage you all to get involved in. So, all right, and it's our last code word for the day. It is bumbershoot. I don't even know what that is, but it's a funny word. Bumbershoot. So you now have all 3 words that you need, but don't go anywhere. We are just about done. All right, last but not least, we still need a little bit of help, so we need one more co-leader for our youth leadership teams. We need somebody to be co-leader with marketing in the ACT. So I'll be the one who leads those meetings, so you're just kind of along for the ride. But I tell you what, if so there's no experience needed in either one of those areas, but if you have experience, please come and join and gift us with your wonderful experience. And we're still probably needing adults for the setup crew. So the goal there is about once every 6 weeks, you'll come to church about an hour before youth group starts, and you will get everything set up. You can bring your youth with you, and they can help too. So we are currently recruiting for that. All right, last but not least, we are doing Facebook Live at 7 o'clock tonight, and at this point, I'm going to be answering any questions that you have. So you might have quite a few questions after all this information I shared, so please get on tonight and ask me those questions. Also, I will be giving a blessing for the year, and we're going to do the drawing for the gift cards. So if you got all these code words and you want to win those gift cards, you can get on Facebook Live, and that's where I will announce it. The slide that you're looking at right now, that is actually my boss, Jim. I put this up as a joke last year because this was what transitioned us into our party on the parking lot. And I saw it again this year, and I just laughed, and I couldn't bring myself to bring it back down. So it's back again. Jim, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I love you. He's really a great boss, everybody. I promise. I don't know why I haven't been fired yet, but here we are. So I hope this was really helpful to you all. Again, I'm so excited for this year and all the possibilities that this year will hold. So I will see you all at 7 o'clock tonight on Facebook, and then again in 2 weeks for our first official meeting for our youth group. Yay! Bye, everybody.